is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are, long-time organizer, first-time radio host, the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. I'm joined by a couple guests today. I have Kathleen Brennan, who is the president of the, I would say Don Rao said that you were the most powerful woman in the Inland Empire.
She's too kind.
And also I have Drew for our Teamster Advantage partner. And we'll get to them in a few minutes. I'm going to go through the top of our hour with a few things that we normally do. One is a recap of last week's show. What an amazing show to hear the teacher call in and talk about how those kids are learning collective bargaining and the interaction between our union and those kids in high school that are understanding the bargaining process, in addition to understanding how to stand up for themselves and recognize essentially how laws were formed. And to have, I think it was Nicole on the show, and have a number of others on the show talking about, and Carlos Gonzalez from our staff and the team that helps host that interaction with those kids. Obviously, many of you know that we have a tremendous program where we're interacting with kids at the high schools and junior highs and explaining to them how unions benefit the local community. And this is a really rewarding part of it, and it was just really good to hear that show. In addition, I had a really good time having Scott on from Don's Bicycles, and they have a BMX museum there at Don's Bicycles. So any of you that, any of you that want to go back and think about the bikes that we rode in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they're all hanging on the wall there. They got a full-on museum there in Rialto, and he's been a great, that small business has been a great Teamster Advantage partner since the beginning of our program in 2016. And the energy Don had was tremendous. And as a matter of fact, Rick Smith from the Rick Smith Show listened to that show and just commented on how great Scott's energy was, and the conversation and the energy that the two of us had together. And so the last thing I want to refer to in a previous show that I didn't talk about in our last show was Cornerstone Barbecue from a Teamster Advantage partner from a couple shows ago. We had sitting here stacked in front of us a bunch of food from Cornerstone, and obviously I couldn't break into it and start eating it in front of everybody while we had the show, because I'd have been distracted and probably barbecue sauce everywhere. And so it sat here, and then as soon as the show was over, we went out into the parking lot. We dropped Mark's tailgate down, and we spread it out, and we ate ribs, sausage, chicken, coleslaw, corn, potatoes. I mean, everything. And even with it being cold, oh my God. It was amazing. I was like, I cannot wait to taste this food, actually.
I keep hearing about this. I can't wait to taste it either.
Yeah, everybody keeps coming in and talking about that have gone to Cornerstone,
Yep.
and they keep talking about how great their food is. And so not only has their partnership been great and what they came in, but they brought a full spread in here, and we ate it in the parking lot, and the food obviously wasn't warm. And I don't think, Mark, was there anything left over? No, there was nothing left over. And so big shout out to them at Cornerstone Barbecue. They do a great job. And the food was amazing. And if you have not tried it, you better get in there and try it, because and they had this barbecue breakfast burrito that I haven't had a chance. I heard them describing it. I got more comments on that show about the discussion regarding that food than I did anything else. So clearly we had a lot of foodies listening in and were commenting. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to the next part of our show is I'm proud to have my son here, Brando. He's looking at me with his eyes wide open going, I can't believe you just mentioned me. He's on spring break. He's got 2 weeks. I wish I had 2 weeks off like this. He's riding along with me, kind of hanging out all day today. And so he gets to watch Dad on his radio show live. He's like, when do we get to go? When are we going to see? What's it like? So he hadn't had a chance to be in here. So I'm proud to have him here. And with that, let's move into the next part of our show, which is the 3 Teamster jobs. The first one, all of you this time of the year, love it and hate it. That's Girl Scout cookies. So first of all, we love Girl Scout cookies because they're all so darn good. But we hate it because, it's like we can never get a rest from the sweets and all that stuff.
Right.
The Girl Scout cookies roll right in at a time when you're trying to, not eat gluttonously.
Summer body.
Yeah,
right. You're absolutely trying to be good.
Impossible.
In some way, and it's like impossible. But for those of you that don't know, Girl Scout cookies are made by Teamsters, and that most of them, the 2 factories that produce Girl Scout cookies across the country are made by Teamster members that work at both of those factories. Some at Local 793 in Louisville, Kentucky, and others in Local 554 in South Dakota. And so next time you get some Girl Scout cookies, you think of a Teamster, and say and recognize that obviously those workers are making sure that you get a good product. The next one is Harris Ranch Meats. Most people don't realize that the high quality meat that you get, Stater Brothers actually has a section of Harris meat. They service a lot of high-end restaurants, but your Harris meats are, and this weekend, as you come into Easter, and you're thinking about the meat you're cooking on the grill, especially if it's a Harris product, Teamsters not only helped produce the back end of that product, but distributed it. And so Teamster drivers make sure that it's delivered all throughout the Southwest. Those are 63 members in the southern part of the state, and those are, I forget the local number up in Fresno, just off the top of my head right now, that represent them in Fresno, which is where their plant is. The next one is, as we get into the season warming up and we got a lot of barbecues queuing up, is Ballpark hot dogs and hamburger buns are Teamsters. And so Teamsters make those. So next time you have a Ballpark hamburger bun or hot dog bun, thank a Teamster. and you make sure when you're eating that, at the end of the day, you recognize, again, a Teamster made sure that you got a good, high-quality product. So with that, I'm going to transition into our labor news. This is the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. I got to, seeing that we're live on the air, we got to do this. Don't forget I'm a first-time organizer. Long-time organizer, first-time radio show host. And so my rookie status enables me to make mistakes along the way, and hopefully I get forgiveness. I'm going to claim rookie status for like 5 years if I can.
Till the show's over.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm still a rookie, as I'm 90 years old, being kicked out the door. So in recent news, this one really stuck out to me today when it came across. Is kids as young as 14 years old were found working in a Tennessee factory to make lawnmower parts for John Deere and others. These child labor law violations at a company called Tough Torque is combined with nearly $300,000 in fines that they've been hit with over the years. This is a reminder. I could have sworn in this country we tried to deal with this a long time ago,
right.
And I think it's Arkansas that's actually trying to pass something to put our kids back to work at that age. Hey, I'm one that really believes kids need to work. I get that. I'm not saying they should be working in a factory, but
right.
When everybody's got to contribute a little bit to the household. I get that, but working in a factory at 14 years old, I could have sworn we approached this and dealt with this a long time ago.
Yes.
And I think it's either Arkansas or Alabama that's got a bill that they're floating up right now to actually fix the shortage in labor by having our kids do the work. Our kids are already allowed to go to work on a work permit. But these kids were working full time. This was an absolute violation of labor law. And, this comes on the heels of them having to pay, them having to allocate more than $1.5 million to support children that are unlawfully employed. So they've been popped on this many times before, exploiting child labor. And, Tennessee, come on, man, get your act together. Tough Torque, get your act together. It's just not acceptable. We're a better society than that.
That's right.
And unions clearly in the community came together and stopped the exploitation of children in the workforce many, many, many decades ago. Just because we're a little bit got a little bit of a labor shortage doesn't mean we got to spin ourselves
Not
back
that
on.
shortage, yeah.
Like, come on, you guys.
These are right-to-work states,
Yeah.
too, though, so, I mean, what do we expect?
We had that show. Yeah,
Yes, we
had
did.
the right to work show. The next one is Major League Soccer's referees just reached a 7-year deal. They had a 37-day lockout. Lockout is actually when workers are kicked out. It's not a strike. They haven't actually walked off. That's where the companies have decided to what they call lock them out and say you can't come to work. And they replaced them with other referees, and that didn't go over very well for 37 days. And so they settled on a deal and got it taken care of with a 28.36% increase for those officials. You know, that's a tough job. I know we all sit on our couch and I guess criticize a referee or umpire's decision, but think of how hard that job's got to be running up and down a field.
No matter what, half the people hate you.
Yeah,
Exactly. No matter what.
exactly.
No matter what.
Half
Yeah.
the people watching on the other side of the
You
that's a
don't,
bad
you don't
call.
get 51, 49, 50, 50.
That's a good call. No, it's a bad call. And so, there was a lot of criticism of the replacement officials, and so it's good to see that they got that resolved. The next is our California hotel workers reached a more than $1 billion labor deal with owners, and you're talking luxury properties in Beverly Hills and the Waldorf Astoria, and that was accepted, that ratification by over 98%, and there was intermittent strikes happening throughout California as a result of that labor dispute. It's good to see that that's resolved. One worker described it as a life-changing agreement for them out of Unite Here Local 11, and good for those workers. That's a hard job, having to clean up. I mean, I know what I've done in some of those hotel rooms. Think about it when we were younger and everybody was partying and a bunch of us piling up and. Just
Towels.
Yes.
Think
I
of
worked at a hotel.
Oh.
Towels.
Yeah.
Oh,
Think of all the
Jeez.
things you got to deal with, man. They deserve every penny,
They do.
especially when you're talking a high end, when people are paying a ton of money to stay in these hotels to be waited on, and make sure workers can get by. Make sure that they get a living wage, and especially some of these high end hotels that everybody can afford to pay a little bit more. Let's make sure that they're taken care of. And so, with that. That takes me to what is always my favorite part of the show, and that is our Teamster Advantage partner. I love the fact that we have so many Teamster Advantage partners in the Small Business Network, which is more than 1,000 of them now, that we've got them lined up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're always trying to fit them in and tie them in sometimes with our story or other guests that we have. And I just love the fact that these small business owners get a chance to come on our show, talk about our partnership, talk about what they do. And this one I've been eyeing for a while, and this is Drew. He's from Junk Dawgs, right?
yes, sir.
And I can just imagine the kind of stuff you run into. So with that, Drew, why don't you introduce yourself and let's tell us what you do with Junk Dawgs. You got to come a little bit closer to that mic.
Yeah, so my name is Drew Douglas, owner of Junk Dawgs. My brother is also one of the other owners. I started back in 2020, shortly quit because I didn't know what I was doing, freaked myself out, the whole works. Got into it again in 2021 and just decided, I got to take this serious. I got to approach this with, we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Don't
just
pay
making
attention
sure.
to me.
Okay. No, I just got to take it serious, right? And so we ended up taking it serious. I ended up coming in from a moving company, so I had a background in, logistics, pick something up from this house, drop it off here. But yeah, I just got into it. Actually, we did a job with you guys like when we first restarted at the Bloomington Valley Christian School,
Yeah.
where you guys renovated that.
Yeah.
So
Teamsters Local 63.
yeah,
Yeah.
quick shout out. But it's great to be on the show. Who wouldn't say yes to free advertising, right?
Right. So tell me some cool stuff, and crazy stuff you found.
Okay. So, I'll tell you
First
some
of
good
all,
stuff first.
first of all, if somebody needs you to clear out some junk
Right,
or
right.
help you take these are the guys to call, right?
Right.
So now let's get into
So
some crazy stories.
You could imagine what's in someone's storage unit that's been there for 10 years or their garage that their mother has been stacking up stuff for 30 years, right? So anything from old Coca-Cola glasses to like Disney artifacts. We recently just found a Peloton bike. We early on found a Peloton treadmill. And then we'll kind of get into some stuff that, is not so savory. imagine picking up a box in a garage, right? It's been there for 40 plus years and a rat jumps out.
Oh.
I hate to say it, but I have to because it just, I can't just give everyone the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we find some good stuff, but man, do we find some bad stuff.
I can just
No.
imagine. Oh my. So you never found a dead body?
That's our saying. It will take anything but dead bodies. If we did find one,
You got to call somebody.
if we found one and we didn't see it, is that on us? You know,
I don't know.
question.
I'm the wrong guy to ask. on
that's
Yeah.
this.
we always we would always throw that saying, hey, we take anything but dead bodies. And people would throw back, well, what if I, my husband or this and that? We're like, well, just put it in a bag, and people's faces would get sour. We're like, maybe that was a little too far.
Yeah.
Don't put it in a tall container
Right.
full of concrete.
You got to do the legwork. You got to
It's a little
chop it up.
suspect, right? It's a little suspect, right?
Right. There's a fridge that can't be opened
Yeah.
ever.
So tell us about the partnership between the Teamsters and Junk Dawgs. Obviously, Junk Dawgs, right?
Correct.
Tell us about that relationship.
Yeah, so early on, I met Mark and I met his dad to begin with, Randy, and soon after met him at a Chamber of Commerce meeting in Redlands, and he just told me about the advantages that you get, with partnering with you guys, which is advertising. Your members get discount codes, and I'm like, well, if someone gets a discount, 90% of the time they're just going to go with them because it's like, we're in a really tough time for everybody. The dollar is, it's precious. So you gotta save every coin you can get. So for us to offer a discount like 10%, 15%, and
What's our discount?
I think is it 10%?
10%, yeah.
If you mention this show, you'll get 20%.
Oh,
Like,
did you hear that?
Hey.
I mean, I really like I said, everyone is slow. Everyone is hurting for money. So everyone has to help everyone. That's what this is about, and that's what the Teamsters is about, is helping people, help their families provide for their families.
How much do we charge you for this?
Nothing.
Isn't that crazy?
I literally found out about this yesterday. My brother said, hey, you got to go to this thing for the Teamsters. I said, is it for Mark? He said, yes. I said, I'll be there.
Right on.
The relationships that we've been able to build in this space, it becomes this win-win-win, right? It's win with the community. It's win with the small business. Because a lot of times in the hustle and bustle, we believe workers and small business, which a lot of times are in the same category.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is I know, these corporations kind of start running things over and the small business gets left behind.
Oh, man.
And, at the end of the day, we really want to make sure that small business can prosper and they can absolutely, help one another and communicate and work in a network that is beneficial to one another. And so this is a Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Tell me another story of something you tripped upon. Now, what did you do with the Peloton? Did you give the Peloton to
sold it.
your
right
to
on.
somebody?
I sold the treadmill. I sold that one, and then I gave the bike to my wife. That was the one thing she said. I don't want anything because I would, we have a
You should
warehouse.
open up an antique store off to the side.
Right.
There's a long story about that. We'll
Okay,
talk.
well, we don't have enough time, but hey, maybe another show.
But yeah,
right?
no, we get so much stuff, and she comes through the warehouse and like looks at stuff, a nightstand or a coffee table, and she hasn't wanted anything. She said the one thing I do want though is a Peloton tread or a bike, and I was like,
boom, you found
Yep.
it. Did it work?
3 years, but we got it.
Did it work?
It worked.
Nice.
Mike,
Nice.
That's a savings. That's a fair.
It-
Those things are not cheap.
You'd be surprised what people give away. I mean, it shocks me. It really does. We furnished multiple homes from other people that are, just giving it away.
That's a good point. I mean, you could, people that have Airbnbs or,
Mhm.
Situations where people are just, people that are in need.
Yeah.
In need. People that have just.
Oh, we donate a ton.
Kids that are just moving out on their own.
Oh,
and
yeah.
getting an apartment and
Mhm.
got a couple lawn chairs sitting in the living
Well,
room.
we actually went to the University of Redlands, and our fraternity guys are always like, "Yo, can we get a couch or can we get
yeah.
this or just
Right.
take it."
That's awesome.
Go.
You got to haul it from the warehouse. We're not dropping it off. That's the rule.
Nothing wrong with that. I
Just
bet
for
you
them. Just
they'll
for them.
throw
For
it right
anybody else, we'll give it to them.
They'll throw it right on the top of a Honda Accord.
with some like
Upside down.
string,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Give me some rope. Who's got some
Right.
rope?
If you're lucky, they'll just hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, anything else you want to talk about your business? I hear you may be expanding into something else
Yeah.
pretty
So
soon.
actually, we are expanding into the moving industry. So junk, moving, and we'll eventually be into cleaning. So anything within the moving realm, packing, storage, you name it, we'll do it.
Cleaning. Are you going to be cleaning office buildings?
Can you guess the
homes?
name?
What's that?
So we have Junk Dawgs, we have Moving Dogs. Can you guess the name of the cleaning company?
Cleaning dogs.
Cleaning Cats.
Cleaning cats.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Too good.
That's great.
All right. Well, Drew, it's great having you on.
Thank you.
Frank is out right now. We have Sam handling the board. I'm going to transition to commercial just a little bit early, and we're going to transition over to our next guest in probably about 30 seconds. But we really want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate the work that you do as a small business owner in the community. We really appreciate the partnership with the Teamster Advantage Network and with the community as a whole by making sure all of our members get a discount.
I appreciate it.
And anything else you want to close on before we transition to the end of the hour?
Just be kind. Everyone be positive and be kind.
Those are great words. There's a lot that can be learned just from that. This is the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. See you on the other side of the break.
KCAA Radio, Loma Linda, where no listener is ever left behind.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Spear, a licensed agent with Litchfield Insurance Associates here in Beaumont. A large portion of Americans don't have life insurance or don't have enough. Whether you need a temporary policy, something to help with income during retirement, or making sure your final expenses are taken care of, having life insurance is an act of love and security for your whole family. Having a local trusted agent makes navigating through the sometimes complex world of life insurance so much easier. And I would love to be the one to help you. I'm Kaylee Spear. For your free consultation, people are calling 951-769-0005. 951-769-0005.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
Master Builders of America in Santa Ana encourages listeners to shop small business and buy local. Buying from small businesses greatly improves the health of our local economy. It creates jobs and allows hometown businesses to grow and invest in each other. So, before visiting the big box stores, mega chains, and internet super warehouses, think local and support your neighbors and your community. That's from Master Builders of America in Santa Ana. They are reminding everyone your hand is the heart of our community.
Now, here's a new concept: digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising, DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Yucaipa. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising, 909-222-9293. It's that time of year again. No, not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts. Paul Barrich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. Their service is free, and after 42 years in the business, their agents are trained to help you pick the plan that's right for you.
This is KCAA.
KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Thanks, Sam. Well, I got my son over there holding the cards, so
He's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job, isn't he? So I am joined on the back half of the hour with our guest. She is so busy. I have been trying to get her on this show for literally months.
Oh, man.
But, there's always been one thing or another. So let me just do a quick introduction of what Dawn Rao, who is the Board of Supervisors, which
She's
is
great.
arguably the most powerful woman in the Inland Empire.
She really is.
Says that you're the most powerful woman in the Inland Empire.
Boy.
So let me just give a quick introduction. The first time I met this amazing woman, she kind of chewed my rear end a little bit and was very animated about a subject. And after very long dialogue and a lot of information, she became an incredible advocate for working people. And it's been amazing to see the selflessness of you, the compassion of type of person that you are, the energy that you put into helping other people, and you are the president of one of the largest unions in the Teamsters, and we couldn't be prouder than to have you as one of our leaders within the organization, and to have you on the show here during Women's History Month. Matter of fact, this morning, Joint Council 42 on social media posted a really good picture of you and some very
nice.
good quotes, and thousands and thousands of people are commenting on it, on what an amazing person you are, and we just are so glad that you're here, and thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Randy. And all the things you said about me, I can say right back about you. I mean, seriously, I think that's why we get along so well. But this has actually been just one of the biggest honors of my lifetime, to be able to help and serve and, change people's lives, hopefully forever, generations.
We do.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about being in a union, in a labor union, is that we make impacts that are generational,
Right.
and we don't always get credit for it.
Right.
But one of the things that I've seen a change in you from when I first met you, and how has the union movement really, and your involvement, changed your perspective on, let's say, history or unions, or just how the story's been told?
Right. For decades, the false narrative that was out there, I kind of fell into that. Unions are bad. You don't need unions anymore because, you already got weekends, you got holidays, you got, retirement. We have all these things, but no one ever really stopped to tell us the reason we still had those things these decades later was because of the unions that are still around fighting to make sure that we got those things, that we keep those things. And just really sitting back and be able to learn the history of all the fights and people gave up their lives for things like 8-hour workday, weekends, holidays. OSHA didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't magically
right.
land and everybody
How
says,
the goodness of
let's
their
have
hearts.
some protections on the job.
Yeah, how the goodness of their hearts. And just being able to educate myself and, it's not a surprise that union density right now is at an all-time low and income inequality is at an all-time high. They go hand in hand. Bottom line is when unions are strong, the working class is strong. And we just got to get people to come together. The narrative is out there for a reason. The CEOs in Wall Street, they don't want workers to be empowered and to realize that, hey, we come together as workers, we can change the trajectory of all this. They don't want workers to have that aha moment.
Yeah, look, we're not trying to villainize everybody, but
Right.
at the end of the day, if workers make good money, they buy more homes.
Absolutely.
They can pay more for their home. They can buy a nicer vehicle, or they can buy a vehicle, or they can buy goods and services. And it's really important for us to understand the cyclical nature of an economy. And unions are always at the forefront of trying to make sure that there's a balance there. And as you pointed out, with union density being lower than it was many years ago, that's why corporations are making these all-time profits. And now everybody says, "Oh, I want to be that CEO. I want to be that person that makes $1 gazillion a year and gets on a spaceship and flies himself to the moon or something, or Mars, or just takes a car and flies it out into space." Like when you got that much discretionary income, you probably should be paying people a little bit better around you, right?
That's right.
And imagine if you take that money and recirculate it through the economy. So thank you for making that point. But like, what was the aha moment for you when, what's the aha moment for you that you just said, I can make a difference?
I think it was when you and I were kind of sparring a little bit and about the past contracts that were not great. And you asked me, how did you guys let this happen? And it was then that I realized it's a shared responsibility. We had been paying this old association money, expecting them to just wave a magic wand and make all these impossible things happen. And none of us showed up for anything. We didn't go to meetings. We didn't go to the board of supervisors meetings when they asked us to. And, just understanding that if we came together, and if we put in the effort, and if we believed in what we were doing, we could achieve the impossible. And I've always had this saying that I always live by. It's a Franciscan prayer. And the end of it is basically, be brave enough to believe in the impossible. And so I just kind of had a aha moment then saying, you know what, we can make these things happen. We can get medical retirement back. Everyone kept saying wasn't going to happen. You don't get back what they took away.
So what you're saying is you've seen it. So
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yes.
At a point where you felt like, because there's not engagement, we're not participating.
Right.
You guys weren't participating.
Exactly.
Now that you've seen workers participate, and it's not just yourself, it's a whole
lots.
bunch of them, and you've seen other groups of workers that work for other organizations benefit in the same way. And it wasn't like you broke the bank.
No, God, no. And that's
you
the
want
last
everybody
thing.
to be profitable, including the workers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I tell people that all the time. I get some of my coworkers who like to give me a hard time. We need a 50% raise, and I go, look, guys, is that reasonable? Do we really want to bankrupt our county? Because none of us will have jobs at that point. But it's just being responsible, and being reasonable.
I think one of the things we got to point out is that you insist on staying a county employee.
Absolutely.
You're the president of a very large local union, and many times I've told you, you can come to work for the local.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
And usually, the president in this structure would be a full-time staff position. And what most people don't realize is that you work full-time for the county.
Right.
You do the role as president of the organization, and you essentially do another full-time job that you don't get paid for.
Right.
And you represent the interests of these workers. And that's why I've always said you need to come and work for local. But the point is you insist because you want the workers to understand that you are being impacted by the very things in which you're engaged in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, everything we negotiate has a direct impact on me and my family. And I always want them to know that.
And you have retiree medical now.
I sure do.
Did
and
you
they
have
told
it
me
before?
No, God, no.
Do you have affordable health care now?
Oh, absolutely.
And what was that? What made that all happen? Engagement?
Yes, all of us coming together. I mean, I think was the first big town hall that we held at the Ontario Convention Center.
Oh, there was a couple thousand people.
Oh, my God. That was an aha moment for me because we had to keep expanding the
amazing?
room. We expanded the room, and the guys at the convention center was like, we have no more room to expand. You guys have the entire place. It was phenomenal. And that's when I knew we were going to be okay because everyone showed up. And as long as we all continue to show up and do what we got to do, we're going to be all right.
So let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
Again, Dawn Rao would say you're the most powerful woman in the IE.
She is.
And we're going to keep propping her up. She won her election, by the way, in the primary. Got a majority. Thanks to our endorsement as well as a number of other organizations that got out there and made it happen. Well deserved. She's been great. She was actually on our show, I think about a month ago. And so if you want to go back in the archives and listen to a previous show that she was on, she was a very good partner in helping get the things you just talked about.
Absolutely.
Affordable health care, be able to have a retiree medical component and a pathway to affordable health care and retirement so that people aren't forced into poverty when they have a health issue and have to retire.
That's right.
So aside from the debate of you or her being the most powerful woman in the IE, and arguably some of the most powerful people around and influential, because I'm the principal officer of the organization, I can't even get you on my show. It takes them like a month and a half, 2 months to get you in here. Can I get your autograph? Can I get your autograph?
No.
But what women leaders have you looked up to historically? You know, maybe the deep past, or what is it that inspired you? Because you are a woman leader, and
thank you.
In 2016, when you got up on the stage at one of our conventions,
that was amazing.
And rocked it, and absolutely rocked it. Clearly, you had to have some other leaders you looked up to for you to be able to hold it like that.
First of all, of course, my mom, my grandma, they were just amazing, strong Irish women, and I was raised in that household, and they ran the house, like literally. It was very strange. I'd go to other people's houses, and it was a totally different dynamic. In our family, it was the women, and I've always
the
loved.
Women controlled the household.
They sure did.
Yeah.
They still do.
They still do. Right?
Yeah. But I've always loved Mother Teresa. Growing up, devout Catholic, and whatnot. I wanted to be a nun. I've always wanted to help people. I just never knew how I was going to do it. So I thought I was going to be a nun. I was going to follow Mother Teresa. She is amazing. Mother Jones. Got to look. She's pretty amazing. Child labor. We were just talking about that. She was a big part of that. I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of strong women. I just have had so many role models. Gosh, I don't want to forget anybody, but
You got plenty of time.
I know, right?
Yeah. This is a Worker Power Hour, KCAA.
Worker Power Hour.
106.5 FM, 1050 AM. What advice, Kathleen, would you give for young women?
I honestly, I think we...
No, lie to me. Lie to me.
I think we can be our own worst enemies. When I talk to women about running for offices, like being the president, the next, stepping up, being on the board, running for city council, board of supervisors, we tend to be our own worst enemy and thinking like, well, we don't have enough education. We don't have enough experience. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. We just got to stop doing that to ourselves and just put yourself out there. Just like when you asked me to be president, I thought, oh my God, this man is crazy. I'm the last person. There's plenty of people that could have done a better job than me. Why is he asking me? And then I just had to take that leap of faith. And honestly, I think I've told you this before. I believed in you until I could believe in myself, because you really did inspire me. And I think if other women can do the same thing, if you don't believe in yourself at the moment, that's fine. Believe in somebody else until you can believe in yourself, and just do it.
One of the other women leaders in the area, Denise Davis, is going to be on our show in a couple weeks.
She's fantastic. Yeah. She's fantastic.
So you got a pretty good relationship with her, right?
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting, Randy, before I got involved with the union, got involved with Teamsters, my whole life, my whole working career, up until that point, I was never able to be who I truly was. I think that's one of the best things that's happened since I've become a Teamster, is I knew I had that protection, and I was afraid to let people know about my personal life. And that's something Denise and I both have in common. We both are lesbians, and it was just hard for me to be that person and to feel safe enough and comfortable enough to be that way at work, because I knew I'd seen it in my past. Obviously not a union job, but people, they'd find out and they'd be gone within a week, and it was just brutal. Come back from lunch and someone would have a banker box on their desk. It was just that cutthroat. But knowing that I had the protection of this union, and knowing at that 2016 convention, they actually rewrote our Constitution to protect everybody, and it was powerful. And Denise Davis and I have that in common. And it's a tough, there's not a lot of us out here in leadership. And I don't know why that is. I think as homosexuals, we get a lot of negative press, and you have these people on the news saying all these horrible things about us, that we're predators,
preconceived notions,
and
negative narratives.
Yeah.
And stuff,
And I think we let ourselves kind of believe that, and it's such a shame. And it's one of the best things I can say that the last 8-9 years is that I've been able to be myself and respect myself, and know that it doesn't define me. And if people want to think that way,
this is a very powerful moment.
Right.
because what I'm hearing you say is that getting involved in your union,
Right.
getting involved in the organization, and understanding history, understanding union's place in history,
Absolutely.
and how much we've advocated for this space or equality, and all the things that I talk about on the show all
Yep.
the time. You're saying that your entire adult life you had, and maybe even your youth, you never felt like you fit in
Right.
until you participated in your union.
100%.
And the reason I want to say that is because that's what I love about not just the Teamsters but the labor movement.
Yes.
Is there's a place for all of us.
Everybody.
Everybody. There's something to do. There's somewhere to go. There's something to connect to. There's something to be a part of.
Right.
That it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or you're a woman or a man,
Exactly.
or you're white or you're black or you're Latina. It doesn't matter. There is something you can look inside the organization and go, I can connect to this. I can connect to that.
Absolutely.
And you feel at home.
Yep.
And you feel comfortable enough. The reason why I think this moment is so powerful is I'm hopeful other people listen
I hope so
and
too.
recognize that the comfort that you have in a space like that.
Yes.
I am so proud of the fact that this union creates that environment.
Absolutely.
That not just this union, but the labor movement. And there are other areas that do, other institutions, but not as consistently as we have for over 100 years.
You better believe
There's
it.
no other institution that
Yep.
has done it like this for more than 100 years.
Absolutely, Randy.
That is, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think it's for people that are listening, for individuals that are listening, to recognize how powerful it is for you to just say it like you did.
Yeah.
And you're saying that for years you never talked about it.
I couldn't even say the word, and right now we have these people going to these school boards here locally, which is shocking, and they're trying to get the word gay taken out of schools, and they're saying we're predators, and it's just coming right back full circle. And I hope that all the kids out there don't let that get into their heads. Don't buy into that, and that's why I'm pushing the union so much with these kids, because I want them to understand that this is
It's a safe space.
Yes, it's a safe place, right?
Yep.
You're not going to have any protections anywhere else. Like, you need to have a union job. You need to have that protection.
I know it's not a funny subject, but I got to tell a funny story on that subject. Remember that meeting we went to in Redlands, and I had a few people come up to me thinking, because I'm a big white guy.
Yes, they
as Don Rowell said, he's like, yeah, you're kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah.
I fit a certain kind of profile.
Yep.
And individuals that were kind of obnoxious and insulting, and the things that they were saying, I'm shocked that people talk like that in 2024.
Yeah.
Come up to me saying the things that they're saying. I'm like, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Right.
Like, you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to see some of the ignorance in that space. And we don't really have to get into the politics of it.
Right.
But I think that what you're saying is why people are spending that much energy to create a narrative that's actually not even true.
I don't get it. Yeah. Right.
And try to oppress people who are just trying to be themselves.
Right. Instead of spending all the energy on that, let's get together and let's figure out how to, solve some of the problems that are going on locally. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine the stuff we can get done if they would just refocus that energy to help us help everybody else in the community? I mean, come on.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Like, let's sit down and figure out, okay, if we don't like what's going on in the school,
right,
how do we all chip in and make sure that, something in a positive direction, we make some sort of impact.
Absolutely. And I'd be more than happy to sit down with any of those groups. Even though they've been really nasty and vile, I would love to sit down with them and say, look, let's change that.
Well, when we all showed up, they kind of toned down a bit, didn't they?
When you showed up, I will say, they were in my face.
I wasn't the only one. There were a few others.
Yeah. Rich Smith.
Yeah.
Susan Carl. Oh, man, you can't. Susan Carl, she's one of the main reasons I got involved in this union. Her and Laura Schultz. They're amazing ladies. I think they both were there, and But when you guys showed up, that was when I knew, and I thought, this is a family.
And all those toughies or whatever they were.
The Proud Boys,
whatever they
left.
They really toned down, didn't they?
They left.
They were like, oh, no, we're not tangling with that group.
I was shocked. I was like, where'd these guys go? And it was just, I looked back and I saw you, and I went, that's why they're gone.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's kind of fun in those scenarios because in those scenarios you got this is what happens in the labor movement.
Right.
Sometimes you get a corporation or a company or something. It's a bully, and they
Yeah.
try to bully some workers.
Exactly.
Right? And in the labor movement, you get to stand up and you get to create some equality.
That's
there.
right.
Just reminds you, this is a worker power hour. In that moment, I saw them trying to bully
Oh yeah.
Them trying to bully people in that I think it was a Clement Middle School, right?
Yes, Clement Middle
Ironically,
School,
it's actually my son's middle school.
Isn't that crazy?
And then for the bullies to have to look and say, oh boy, I guess there's another group here that's not going to take that.
That's right.
And to see them kind of tiptoe out.
That's right.
It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
In a sense of, hey, why are we doing this?
Yeah. There's no
So
need.
aside from that, let's powerful women, impactful women, the Inland Empire, transforming the Inland Empire. What do all those things mean to you?
Man, for me, it's the least I can do to pay back for what I feel my life has improved in so many ways in the last 8 years. Not just, financially, personally. I feel like transforming the Inland Empire for me this is where I was born and raised. And I would love to be able to lift up the next generation and empower them with what now I know, but I didn't know until I was 40 years old. They don't have to wait until they're 40 years old to know all these things and to, know their power, know their strengths. And, I think if we can educate these kids at a younger age and get them to understand that when they come together to help each other, amazing things can happen. And we got to get back to that. We've become a society where we all live in these silos and we're just focused on ourselves and our families and very selfish. And I think part of,
civilizations don't survive in that situation.
They don't, right. And I feel like we're circling the toilet bowl unless we, change our ways. So for me, that's transforming the Inland Empires. It's to make these people, we're doing by action. What we're doing, and people are noticing. I get calls all the time. Holy cow, did I hear that right? You guys got your medical retirement subsidy? Oh my gosh, did I, I'm like, yes, because this is what happens when people come together to genuinely help one another. You and I don't want anything out of this other than to help this community, help these workers. And when you come from a place like that where it's just honest and genuine, you can't lose.
And if I think socially, if we start to pay attention and have empathy in spaces for individuals before we need something.
That's right.
Before we need something.
Exactly.
It's easy to be empathetic the moment we need something.
That's right.
But if we can be empathetic before needing something, and it's always interesting, I hear people, this and that, public employees and all this negative narrative that's just wrong.
Right,
it's just incorrect. But when you dial 911, it isn't like when you call the bank and they say, hold, please. You've got a 9-minute wait.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, thank you for calling. Let me check to see if your subscription is up to date.
Right.
Give me a second. What's your number? What's your information? Okay.
Yep.
I know your spouse may be choking to death, but I got to verify.
Yeah.
Because we got to make sure if the ambulance is going to come get you, that you can afford to pay the $50,000 for the ambulance to come get you.
Incredible.
I mean, imagine if that's because if corporate America had its way,
that's how it would be.
That's how the phone call would go in when 911's called.
Exactly. Yeah.
But instead, you build a system so that when you dial 911, somebody's waiting to pick up the phone.
That's right.
And hopefully, you never need to.
Yes.
And what would be really cool is if all those 911 operators got to sit around and nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
And it was extremely rare, and it was something that it was an easy job.
Right. God.
Clearly it's not. We represent them. It's an incredibly difficult job.
Yes, they're amazing.
But socially, people don't understand how important that infrastructure is.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And they don't respect what the dedication that goes behind that, picking up that phone call and staying, calm and getting the officers to where they need to be. And
those are mostly women that do that job.
Exactly. Isn't that something?
Overwhelmingly women that do that job, that have the ability to. I don't think I could do that job.
I think you could do it. I think you can do it. You've been able to stay extremely calm in the face of a lot of adversity, shall I say.
You don't see me kick my chair when I walk into my office, do you?
No, I don't see that. I hear about it, but I don't see it.
Sam, how much time do we have? Oh, we got
All right.
7 minutes left. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, but I definitely genuinely think that, I want everyone to be able to get involved because, when we're all 80 years old sitting in our retirement place, wherever that might be, I want everybody to be able to look back and
hopefully
reflect.
mine's on a boat on
That's
the
what
river,
I was just
right?
thinking, boat fishing.
Right.
That's exactly where my mind went.
No fishing for me, but
Yeah.
I'll watch you fish.
You gotta
You
try
can
to
be on
fish.
another boat.
Okay.
I'll be on mine. I'll watch you fish.
I'll fish for you. But I just want everyone to be able to reflect back and have some peace in knowing that they did something to change the world for the better and didn't just focus on their salary, on their next house, their next car, how they looked. I want people to be able to reflect and go, you know what? I did some good stuff.
You know, there's an old saying that always stuck with me. It was actually my best friend told it to me when I was really young. And that was, leave it better than you got it.
Yep.
And it was, you know, if you borrowed something from somebody, like you borrowed their car, take it back, washed, tank full.
That's right.
Always bring it back better.
Yep.
And let's try to, I think that the more we talk about these types of things, the more we can get people into that space.
Now that you say that, I'm connecting dots. Growing up, my dad that was his big thing. Whenever we went camping as a family, I mean, we'd come to these campsites and they were a mess. We'd clean it up and we'd stay there for the week or whatever. And as we're leaving, my dad would make us kids rake up the dirt, pick up other people's sites. I'm
Your
like,
dad
Dad.
was a Teamster, by the way.
Oh, he was. And so was my grandfather. And he would always tell us kids, you know what? We leave this place better than what we found it. That's what we do. And I just remember going, thinking he was crazy at 10 years old, like, I just want to go home. But I see that now, and so I'm always trying to do that myself. It's like, you know what? Let's leave this place a little bit better than what we found it. We can be bitter about things, or we can actually get to work and make it better and leave it better for somebody else.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that we cut ourselves off from ever wanting a little bit more.
Right.
But it definitely makes us appreciate if we appreciate where we are, it makes us better at achieving more.
Yes.
Because if we understand that progression and where we got to at that moment, then we're not going to overreach, and we're going to definitely appreciate the sacrifices of the past.
That's right.
I think that's the art of something that we should do our best in today's society to teach a little bit more.
I agree. And like you said, the sacrifices of the past, like I said, the 8-hour workday, people literally died,
They sure did.
The Ludlow massacre, families, kids killed, just to try and make things better for those workers. And we don't have to go through that. None of us are going to die. That's the great thing, is we can go out and fight, but we're not going to be massacred like they were. There's really not much we're going to be risking,
Yeah, think of the risk that they all did for us, and we've inherited. And quite frankly, we do have a generation that's kind of taken it for granted.
Yeah, and I was part of that, I will say. And I'm grateful.
I'm proud. It's so humbling and prideful to know that a system in which I fell in love with in the early 90s, which is the union movement, and did the same thing for me, did the same thing for you.
Absolutely.
And it really got you to understand and appreciate that space.
Absolutely. No, I'll tell you, I tell everybody all the time, this is the best thing, other than choosing my job.
So every worker should be union now.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think everyone should come work at the County of San Bernardino. It was one of the best decisions I made in my life, and I've said that from day one. And then it led me to this.
You've argued with yourself a bit from time to time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You kicked yourself.
A few times, yes, I do, because it gets a little stressful, but it's been an awesome experience.
Well, thank you for coming on, Kathleen. This is the
Thank
Worker
you.
Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM 1050 AM. I just got 2 minutes left. Sam, appreciate you piping in here and
Thank you.
keeping me up to speed. I'm a long-time organizer, first-time radio host, so I'm not all that great at
You're rocking it,
handling these
man.
things.
You're rocking
our
it.
members are really liking the show.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people that are listening to it, they're liking how we're tying some of these things together, and I
Right.
really appreciate the feedback. But with that, it's been an honor to work with you all these years, Kathleen. It's been phenomenal. You've helped me grow as a person, too, and I see how much respect that everybody holds for you. And your selflessness and your compassion in the way you approach things is just phenomenal. And I couldn't have a better partner in helping me run this organization.
And I say it all the time, the honor's mine, really.
All right, so let's wrap this up. We got probably we've got about a minute and a half left. And I always close the show off by asking, what can you do to build worker power? Talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to a neighbor. The worker power, you see our billboards, you see the buses, you see just here in San Bernardino, we have a billboard that welcomes the city of San Bernardino employees to Teamsters Local 1932 just less than 30 days ago. We're going to let that billboard hang for about a month, just recognizing them and recognizing how important their job is. Everybody in the water department and everywhere else. So, let's just appreciate one another more as time goes on. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corgan, longtime organizer, first-time radio host, signing off.